Hey guys, this is Team PokerStars Online Pro FLIXX, and you are watching episode 5 of my weekend grind. The topic of today's session is going to be handling downswings, and I'm sitting at a $1, $2, 6 max Zoom poker table. As you might guess, I'm currently going through a little bit of a rough patch, but the inspiration to the video came from a guy called Dapper Dan. He tweeted me the other day, "What's the best way to deal with downswings?" And I thought about it, just tweeted him a short line, which of course doesn't even cover anything in depth, but it's two of the things that I like to do when I'm going through a rough patch, when I'm going through a downswing. First of all, I'm trying to treat myself to something rewarding outside of poker. And that is because I feel that poker sometimes is not rewarding to you. In a sense that you make the right decisions, you get the money in good, you make good calls, you make good folds, but things are just not going your way. The money is not coming back, villains hit their 2-outers, villains get their equity share, villains end up at the top of their range, you get sucked out on, all that kind of stuff. It just doesn't reward you in any way. You just keep losing and losing, even though you might have even made the right decisions in most of the spots. So instead, I'm just looking to reward myself with something else. Usually, in the last couple of days, I've been going out to treat myself to some nice lunch, some good desserts, chilling in the sun outside, taking a break, taking some naps, just relaxing a little bit and reward myself for the work that I've put in. And the other aspect that I think is very important is don't play too long sessions when you're not on your A game. When you're going through a downswing, when things are not going your way, even though you might be making the right decisions, there is some subconscious stuff going on, and you might not even notice it, but you are probably going way down in your confidence level. And even though you might be taking the right moves, you might be making the right decisions, you might also start to subconsciously second guess yourself, second guess certain standard decisions or standard lines that you have been taking, and just thinking that maybe that's not as profitable. And then suddenly you find yourself in a way more passive or sometimes even more aggressive version of yourself, a version of yourself that you wouldn't be if you weren't on a downswing. And well, that's stuff to deal with. It's a psychological issue, or it's more a psychological thing to cover. But you can do a lot of things to battle that or to combat that. And one of the things that I like to do in order to make sure that I can bring my A game to the tables each and every day, especially when I'm going through a rough stretch, I'm cutting down on tables, and I can only advise you guys to do the same. So this time you see me here sitting at just one table. Usually I play 4 6 max Zoom tables at a time, and I realized that while I'm downswinging, while I'm getting beat up, so to say, I just don't play my A game most of the time. And if I multiply that at different numbers of tables, if I don't play my A game at one table, then the chances are high that I'm not going to be able to play my A game at multiple tables, and that just multiplies the effect my B game level has. So I'm just multiplying the bad effects, and I have to cut down on that, and I have to regain my focus until I'm stabilized again, until I have some firm grasp on my game again, until I feel that I'm in the zone and I can handle 4 tables and I can make good decisions on each and every of them. So in today's video, I'm just going to play one table and focus on the action, try and play my A game in each and every spot, and try and rebuild my confidence that way, so that in the end, I'm going to be able to finally play more tables again. Right, so Ace-8 offsuit in the big blind. We have a pretty tough table, except for the small blind, who might be a recreational player. Get an open from a middle position, regular. Ace-8 is not good enough to defend here. People are opening quite wide from the early positions as well, but Ace-8 in the big blind is just not going to be a profitable defend, because they're just going to have way more better aces in their range and a lot of pocket pairs. So when you do flop an ace, you're either going to win a very small pot or lose a big one or get pushed off an ace most of the time. Well, people at these stakes are reasonably aggressive. It's actually an understatement. People are pretty aggressive, and they'll be able to move you off hands in certain spots. So it's going to be tough for you to just try and look for making a pair and trying to call down, because that's going to put you into a lot of tough situations. So whenever the board gets a bad run out, or turns and rivers are not really good for your hand when you flop top pair, it's going to be quite tough for you to get to showdown against these aggressive regulars. Jack 10 offsuit from the cutoff is kind of a standard open. I don't know the button. If I knew that the button would be a loose passive or a loose and aggressive guy, I would probably not choose to open Jack 10, but with an unknown button, I think it's fine. And without even looking at the blinds, I just have to get through the button, and I'll usually take down the blinds there. Queen Jack off in the big blind against a button open is gonna be either a 3-bet or a call. Now that the small blind 3-bets, I have to have a look at how often he 3-bets versus a button open. He's only done it once, so I'm just gonna let it go. Not much to do there. The decision would be between folding and maybe cold 4-betting, but I don't think that's a good plan. So here I have quite some history with this guy. I'm definitely going to 3-bet my pocket eights. I'm going to be happy getting it in against him, I think, if he decides to 4-bet, because he has a reasonably high 4-bet, and I do have some history with him. So I expect him to throw in a couple of 4-bet bluffs when I 3-bet him here with pocket eights. And then pocket eights is a pretty decent hand to shove over the top if he decides to 4-bet. But he ends up folding, which is a great result for us either way. Queen Jack suited, that's a neat hand. Gonna open if it's getting folded to us, of course. It's a standard open. And I wouldn't even have to look at the button for this hand to be a profitable open, I think. Get some folds. So at a level like this, you'll get into a lot of table dynamics that are pretty aggressive, pretty loose. My colors are red and orange and yellow for the regulars. This is a standard regular that I don't have any reads on. This is a loose regular, and this is a very, very loose and aggressive regular. So you'll see a lot of red, orange, and yellow at my tables, and not so much green. Green and blue are the colors for my recreational opponents that I like to play more against, of course, but as it's Zoom poker, you don't get to choose that. So about spots like the pocket eights hand, this is something that in a downswing, when I go through a downswing, the thing that I tend to realize is sometimes in a spot like that, I tend to not think it through too much, and I might have ended up calling, like playing 4 Zoom poker tables at a time, not really thinking about the opponent, not really visualizing what the opponent is up to and what the specific tendencies are. I would have probably just flatted and just said, well, I'm just going to go for set value, you know, all that kind of stuff, and just play my hand in a passive way and just end up lose the pot most of the time. And that way, I just found a more profitable way to play it. That was a pretty neat example to show what happens to your mind, what might happen to your mindset during a downswing. Well, this is some great action here, but king queen suited is not good enough to stand up to that. I mean, in those positions, I don't expect these people to be bluffing a lot. The first 3-better would have to be pretty strong to 3-bet me when I open from the early positions, and then the cold 4-better is probably very, very strong in that spot. So king queen suited is just a standard fold. Yeah, I mean, this is something peculiar about downswings. If you have been a passive player, or if you're the type of player to actually be a little bit more passive in your nature, and you know that, it's probably a reasonable assumption. It is with me. I can say that for my part. That I'm reverting to a state that I've gone through in my early poker days, and I'm going I'm reverting to a more passive mode when I'm downswinging, because I'm afraid to lose more, and I'm afraid to put more money into the pot when I might be behind, that kind of stuff. And then there's the people, I think, that will go in the other direction, the people that tend to go overboard and get too aggressive and too fancy with their hands during downswings, because I think they have to win the money back, and they have to do all sorts of creative and aggressive stuff to do that, to accomplish that. And yeah, I mean, these are some highly psychological issues that you have to deal with during downswings, and I think it's very important to realize that and to know that about yourself. Try and be knowledgeable about what type of player you are and what dangers there are, that you might fall back into old habits, bad habits when you're downswinging. And when you realize that you're doing that, then it's time to just do the same thing that I do. Just open one table. If you play regular games, open 4 tables, and just focus on the action, and just try and think about every single situation again, and get into the gist of things, and just think about, well, what's the most profitable way to play, and not, oh, I'm not gonna be willing to lose that pot again. I don't want to put more money in. He might have it after all. Just think about the most profitable way to play the hand, and don't fall back into old habits. So it's been about 10 minutes into the session. Not too many interesting spots, of course, but I hope you guys had some fun. So we get a small 3-bet. I think I can flat that being in position with a neat suited connector. Guy seems to be a recreational player, so I do think that I have some implied odds here in that spot. I don't want to attack this board, though. He might actually pot control something like a medium ace or a queen. Sometimes recreational players also love to slow play, and they just check the nuts when they flop them. Like, they check with ace king that spot because they think they want to play it tricky. And yeah, I mean, I have 6 high, but my value here in that spot comes from other situations that I can get this guy into. Right, so I'm gonna wind down this short session. I hope you guys liked it, and I'm gonna do some more grinding today and on the weekend. I'm gonna have a little bit of a break from my cash game grind. Well, it's also very important to just take some time off poker when you're down swinging and just get your mind off everything and not worry about it too much, because the worst thing that can actually happen is that you just force yourself into long sessions when you're downswinging, and just by saying to yourself, I have to get the losses back. I just have to win it all back and play more and grind more. It's actually the other way around. You have to grind less. So take some breaks, take your mind off poker. I wish you guys a great weekend. See you next time.